Hey guys, I'm sorry about that. Welcome back to my channel. We're gonna be kind of off of my normal topic today. Sorry, I'm over here eating a piece of candy. We're gonna be a little off of my normal topic today. It's not gonna be politics. It's not gonna be Nancy Guthrie. I'm just scared that YouTube is gonna put me in the bottomless part of the algorithm because of what we're discussing. And I'm going to be logging into some places just to show you guys how to get the receipts yourself. Um, yeah, and I am streaming on multiple platforms, so please make sure you're liking the video. Also, engage with me. I love engagement. Comment afterwards. I always respond and share. Okay. Um, we're going to talk about something that I saw come across my desk the other day, right? Like, I watch a lot of conspiracy channels, follow a lot of conspiracy news. I love listening to Joe Rogan. There's a channel called Anonymous Official that, I get a lot of my information from. So the other day, they did a video about the CIA and MK Ultra and how the files are now able to be seen by everyone. And I'm going to take you guys to those files. Now, what if I told you the U.S. government once admitted to experimenting on people without their knowledge, and the proof is literally sitting on the CIA's own website? This is not it's not a conspiracy forum, an actual CIA website. Not Reddit, not TikTok, the official archives. And right now, MK Ultra is trending again, but most people don't actually know why. So I'm going to explain to you all why this is trending once again. There is a video. Hey, Red Treasure. Hey, Judy. Like I said, don't forget to double tap the screen and like over there on Facebook. Let me show you the video that caught my attention. And then we're going to start getting into the files. And I know I'm supposed to be doing Epstein files, but right now we're going to talk about these CIA and MK Ultra files. And Lord, I think YouTube is going to put me in the bottomless pit because of this, but I want y'all to see. Let me share my screen. This is Anonymous Official. And this is the video that I saw the other day that made me say, I need to come and talk about this. And then we're going to go into the Jim Carrey and what he has to do with this as well. Okay. Everything is alleged and fair use.
Released documents revealed details about MK Ultra, a 1950s program using LSD and hypnosis to study behavior control. Pharmaceutical company Eli Lilly reportedly supplied large amounts of LSD for that project. Some tests were done on unsuspecting Americans, including prison inmates. National Security Archive, marking 50 years since the program's exposure, compared the research to Nazi experiments and criticized the lack of accountability.
The CIA actually has been potentially researching how vaccines could be used for mind control, as well as many other methods. The documents that are circulating around are regarding Project Artichoke. So this says, look, we've got this grand idea of how we're basically going to drug people and do all kinds of weird experiments on them to see if we could control their minds. These documents don't show that anything was actually done. It just shows that we've got these really crazy ideas, and they're extremely unethical, inhumane, terrible, terrible ideas. The 1977 leak of documents say, oh yeah, well, actually the government did it. They did all of those terrible things they said they were doing in that previous memo. They did it. And now here's some of the archives that we have from when they did all of those terrible things. So, okay, these documents, Special Research for Artichoke, dated April 21st of 1952. The memo proposes developing long-term covert drugs that could be slipped into daily life. drugs that were, quote, administered over a considerable period of time, possibly being placed in food or water that caused either agitation or depression. These, quote, should include chemicals or drugs that can be effectively concealed in common items such as food, water, Coca-Cola, beer, liquor, cigarettes, etc., and should also be capable of use in standard medical treatments such as vaccinations and shots. We can do all this other experimentation, which nobody will know about. It's sneaky. Sneak it into their Coca-Cola, sneak it into their beer, their cigarettes, their vaccines, their medications. Let's sneak it all in. So there you have it. Oh, those wild conspiracy theories.
But the CIA also made sure most of this would never be seen by the public, destroying most of the files. They were torn and burned just days before the head of the agency was fired by then President Richard Nixon for refusing to help cover up Watergate. Beyond just mind control, declassified documents show the agency also chased a dark tool, discrediting, using drugs like LSD to make someone look insane, then watching the world turn on them.
Companies have taken full advantage of this. Every click, every search, every website you visit is being tracked, logged, and sold. Your data is the product, and most of the time, you don't even know who's buying it or what they're doing with it. You may say to yourself, I don't care, I have nothing to hide. But privacy isn't about hiding, it's about control. It's about deciding who gets access to your personal information, your location, and your online activity. That's where Private Internet Access, or PIA, comes in. With Private Internet Access, you can safeguard all your online activities with military-grade encryption, protecting you from hackers, governments, and even your internet provider. Plus, they have a strict no-logs policy, which means they don't track or store any of your browsing history. So your privacy stays free using.
Okay.
They were experimenting on American citizens. I hate conspiracy theories that run amok. But you know, a former CIA director is the one who came up with the term conspiracy theory to discredit people by making them sound like crazy people, when in fact, there was such a thing called MK Ultra, Operation Grasshopper, or MK Chickwit. You know, the CIA did crazy, crazy stuff from roughly 1952 to 1975. The Chinese told us in like 1951 that the Russians were using LSD to try to engineer it to be used as a mind control drug. That was disinformation. The truth was the Russians had no LSD program. The Chinese did. So they tried to throw us off the scent by blaming the Russians. We panicked. And by 1952, we started this program called MK Ultra, which began by using LSD experimentally. They started by dosing their own employees without telling them. Several committed. One jumped out of a hotel window.
Dosing them with what?
LSD.
With the hope that...
See if we can control them, see if we can plant memories that didn't actually happen. Then they decided, no, it's not a good idea to dose our own people. Let's just dose strangers out in public. So they went to San Francisco, rented a safe house. They hired...
Sorry, y'all, hold on.
To go out on the street, pick up Johns, people who...
Now, I wanted to just pause it right there, because the whole LSD and poisoning people, that has not stopped. They're still doing that today. Hold on. And I'm going to explain to you how while I'm pulling this back up. Are you guys familiar with chemtrails and contrails? Okay. Hold on, we're back up. I'm coming, guys. If you ever notice planes up in the sky and there's a, cloud smoke behind the planes, That's not a contrail. That's a chemtrail. And if you look it up, and I should have had the patents already up. Hold on. Hold on, y'all. Sorry, I wanted to see if I had the patents still on my phone. Hey, Robin, but I don't. The difference between a chemtrail and a contrail, and what does it have to do with LSD? Well, a contrail is the exhaust that comes out the back of jets, airplanes, whatever. But a contrail does not last long. They dissipate. A chemtrail, though, will stay up in the sky. They use chemtrails for weather manipulation as well as human manipulation because some of those things that they're spraying out is LSD, so they could have some sort of control over us. If you've ever seen a sky full of chemtrails and the sky turns pink, that's why it's turning pink, because of the LSD that's being sprayed into the air. Let's continue. See, I told y'all, like, I had a lot of people in my chat yesterday, right? But look, I'm talking about this today. I told y'all they was gonna put me in the bottomless pit. They don't want people to know the truth.
Who hire, bring them back to the safe house, dose the
Hey,
Johns
Vibrant.
with
Hey, Treasure
LSD,
Boo.
and just see what happens. But I mean, these are like serious crimes you're committing against people.
CIA paid workers to lure men to safe houses where agents drugged them and then watched them through one-way mirrors and recorded their behavior.
Exactly.
They tried to erase their personality.
Nice, huh?
The goal was often to break and rebuild the human mind. In 1973, the CIA director ordered mass destruction of the MK Ultra files.
That day, he testified before the church committee. The church committee specifically told him, do not destroy any documents. He went back that afternoon to the CIA and said, destroy everything.
Why?
Because it was damning. They were experimenting on American citizens. They were experimenting by spreading diseases in American cities. He was fined like $150, and about 15% of the documents were overlooked and survived. We'll never know exactly what happened under MK Ultra.
I'm confused. I think there's something strange going on. Like what an odd time for us to be alive. You know, in all of human history. What an odd time for us to be having this conversation right now. So I think there's something strange going on, but I don't know what. And even in the simulation, like the simulation theory, people talk about that at many different levels.
One thing is sure, our consciousness and what we define as reality is only a small part of what is really going on.
I would say that our consciousness is the only thing we can be sure that's really going on. And it's certainly the most important thing going on to any of us. But yeah, it's an unusual time to be alive.
And guys, just to put into perspective how advanced this technology already is, the network says the host was created without a single frame of real world filming, making a completely digital human that capable of delivering a nuanced on camera performance.
This is about something totally different, so I'm going to stop sharing this. I do have one other thing that I wanted to share about this subject before we go into the actual files, okay? Give me 1 second. And you will hear my puppy in the background snoring. I'm coming up. They're playing with me, y'all. Okay. Oops, back. All right. Oh, he's snoring loud. So just to give a little context before we go into the next video, because they're going to be touching on some of this stuff. But in 1953, during the Cold War, the CIA launched a covert program called MK Ultra. The goal was to study interrogation techniques, behavior modification, and using chemical substances like as sorry, let me slow down. And using chemical substances like LSD. This program ran for years. And in some documented cases, people were subjected to experiences. Y'all, I am messing up. Golly. Let's start over. What is wrong with me today? Let me gather myself. Sorry, guys. This program ran for years, and in some documented cases, people were subjected to experiments without informed consent. Just like they're dumping LSD along with a whole bunch of other chemicals in our sky currently. We did not consent. We don't ever consent, but they do it anyway. Vibrant dropped a link. Please make sure you check that link out, because that will give you more information on what I'm saying. I should have had my videos pulled up about this, because I've talked about this on several occasions. But I really just wanted to touch on it because we're talking about LSD and the experiments ran by the CIA. Let's see. Oh gosh, now the charging thing. I'm making sure I got everything. So, just to reiterate why I'm talking about this again, because this has been talked about before. But recently, several things happened. Okay. Old declassified documents resurfaced on social media. News outlets highlighted a Cold War file called Project Artichoke. You know, they always got these oddly named projects that they're working on, child. One of my favorites is Project High Jump. I love looking into that situation. I'm not even going to bring that up because that's going to take me down another rabbit hole. We're not going to touch on that today. Entertainment media announced new dramatizations of the program. So people are seeing screenshots of documents and thinking, is this new? It's not really new, but the documents coming out, they've been slowly coming out over the years, okay? But I think a lot of us are waking up. I had a wake up a long time ago. My awakening happened many years ago after I asked God to let me see what is being hidden, what is hiding in plain sight. What is it that they're keeping from us? Okay? Let's look at this, and then we're going to jump into the files, and then we're going to go into Jim Carrey. Okay? I don't know. I think I have like a little bit of nervousness today, guys. I don't know why I prayed before I came live, but it's still in there, you know? Still nervous.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
Even besides drugs, MK Ultra is involved in a lot of psychological experiments. So not just LSD. Most people associate MK Ultra with LSD, but one of the most expansive of the subprojects is Subproject 68. It was by this guy named Ewan Cameron. Have you heard that name before?
No.
Cameron? Okay, Ewan Cameron. He is a psychiatrist up in Montreal in Canada, working at what's called the Allen Memorial Institute. And Gottlieb wanted to expand MK Ultra besides drugs because he already had a lot of people doing drug experiments. So he wanted to see if there were psychological techniques that could be used to manipulate a person. So not just in an interrogation, but can we actually like control a person's personality? Can we make them behave in certain ways, make them do something? So the idea that Ewan Cameron had come up with before the CIA is involved, I should mention Ewan Cameron is a behaviorist. So he thinks that all behavior is a result of nurture, not nature. So it's the environmental input that causes a person to behave a certain way. And he thought that if you could bring a person back down to a blank slate, remove all the environmental inputs that have been put into them, and then you can build them back up in your image into whatever you want them to be. So his idea to bring someone down to the blank slate was to induce enough stress that they forgot who they formerly were. And so you reduce them to the blank slate, and then the CIA is really interested in, if you could do that, then you could form them into whatever. So Ewan Cameron, his main goal is to try to figure out what can induce enough stress in a person to bring them down to that blank slate. And so he performs a lot of experiments. His most famous one is called psychic driving, where he was doing a therapy session, quote unquote therapy, with one of his patients, and he was recording the session, and she said something about how, my mother when I was young used to tell me blah blah blah. She said something negative to her, and so Ewan Cameron rewinded that on the tape that he was recording and made her listen back to it and said, "Hey, I want you to listen back to what you say your mother used to say to you." When he rewinded the tape and played it forward, as soon as the woman was kind of quoting her mother and she listened to that herself on the tape, she recoiled, and Cameron thought, oh, you have a negative reaction to that. So he rewinded again and again and again, and he kept rewinding it, and she just got more and more emotional, had this more and more kind of visceral reaction to what she was saying her mother used to tell her. So this led Cameron to develop the concept of psychic driving, which is you record some kind of negative message, and then you make someone listen to it for thousands and thousands and thousands of times for weeks on end, for hours every day. All their waking day, they basically are strapped into a headphone that is playing this negative message, and it will break them down over time. That's how you induce enough stress to break them down to the blank slate. And then you can record a positive psychic driving message to build them up into whatever image you want them to be. So that was his initial idea.
Was it based on anything?
Not really. It was just based on, he had this one encounter with this woman and she had a negative reaction, and he's just trying to induce stress. This obviously seemed to induce stress in her. Therefore, we're going to start playing these negative tapes to them.
So it was just his idea.
It's just his idea. He was known for doing this kind of thing, like kind of spur of the moment. In fact, there was one kid basically who had been at this Allen Memorial Institute where Ewan Cameron was. He eventually had gotten out, but he had tried to commit suicide. And so he was sent back to the Allen Memorial Institute. But the way that he had tried to commit suicide was to close the garage and have the CO2 build up with a running car. And then he would, breathe it in and pass out and die. That ended up not working. However, when he went back to the Allen Memorial Institute, Ewan Cameron thought, his personality seems like a little bit better than it was when he was here before. Maybe CO2 can influence someone. And so he sent out some of his assistants to go buy CO2 canisters, and we're going to start giving this to people. But it turns out the assistants knew that this was completely unethical. There's no medical basis for anything. And so they lied to him and said, oh, the canisters were way more expensive than we could actually afford, so we can't do that. But so he was trying to find any way that he could have a breakthrough to cure mental illness. And he was using his patients as guinea pigs.
Complete guinea pigs. What was the result with the woman? The woman where they played the negative recordings?
There are dozens and dozens of people who that happened to. I don't know about her in particular because I don't know if she's actually named in the documents. So I don't know.
Did any of these experiments have a positive effect? Did it work?
Hardly. So that was only.
I shouldn't say positive. I should say, were they effective?
No. For the most part, the people who he did his practice on came out way worse than when they went in. So psychic driving, that's initially what got the CIA interested in Cameron. So it's important to keep in mind, it's not that the CIA told Cameron to do this. He's doing this on his own because he thinks he's going to cure mental illness by having this radical breakthrough where we break them down and build them back up, and we can build them back up and make them forget their schizophrenia or depression or whatever they have.
I'm going to pause this here because this is one of the videos I wanted y'all to see, but I kind of wanted y'all to see what they were doing. Let me see if I have that video saved on here, y'all. I might have forgot to save it. Yeah, I don't have it saved under here. My bad.
CIA reads his article about psychic driving, and they think this is the kind of thing we're interested in. So from that point on, they start funding him not only to do psychic driving experiments, but also he does puts people in chemical comas for months on end. And while they're in these chemical comas, he would put an audio device next to their pillow playing these psychic driving messages. And he would put them in sensory deprivation chambers for weeks. They would have goggles over their eyes, earmuffs on their ears. They would have cardboard tubes over their arms so that they couldn't feel anything. And they would just be in a room for weeks on end. The idea, again, being to induce enough stress so that it breaks them down so that you can eventually build them up. But one of the saddest stories in the book, really, is of this woman named Mary Morrow, who is one of the patients of Ewan Cameron in Montreal. The sad thing about her especially is she had been a resident in training at the Allen Memorial Institute under Ewan Cameron. So she had been training to be a doctor under him, and she had administered some of these techniques, including electric shock. So that's one of the things too. We would put these electrodes on the heads of people, and he would continually shock them until, again, the idea was to reduce them to in one case, he says, an infantile-like state where they lose control of their bladder, they can't eat, they can't talk, they can't go to the bathroom on their own, they can't put on their own clothes or anything like that. So she was in charge of administering some of these, therapy sessions or whatever they would call it, but just basically torture to these people. She ended up having almost kind of a psychotic break herself. She became anorexic and she failed her neurology exams. And so she went into a really deep depression. She attempted to commit suicide. That didn't work. She was admitted to the hospital and to another hospital. Ewan Cameron came to visit her and he said, I think you should come back to the Allen Memorial, not as a doctor, but as a patient, and let me treat you. So she ends up going back to the Allen Memorial as a patient. And she thought to herself that it's going to be okay. They're not going to do the electric shock to me because you had to sign a consent form and, for that to happen to you. The people who are signing the consent forms, they don't know how bad it's actually going to be. They're just signing their name. But she knows I haven't signed a consent form, so they can't do that to me. But it turns out in the time since she went to the hospital and came back, they had stopped doing the consent form. He would just do this on whoever. And so they ended up doing this electric shock treatment on her. And, afterwards she would be babbling and incontinent.
I want to see, here I go with this mess again. All right, is that it? That had to be it. All right, I think I got it. This is the one. That's not it.
For 2 decades, the Central Intelligence Agency conducted the most extensive mind control program in human history, MK Ultra, a top-secret project that dosed unwitting citizens with LSD, subjected psychiatric patients to months of sensory deprivation, and attempted to completely erase human personalities to rebuild them from scratch. The official story claimed it was defensive research to protect against Soviet brainwashing. The reality was far more sinister. American doctors, funded by American taxpayers, tortured American citizens in pursuit of the ultimate weapon, total control of the human mind. When congressional investigators finally exposed MK Ultra in 1975, they discovered that the CIA had destroyed most of the records. But the survivors remember everything. In 1953, CIA Director Allen Dulles authorized a classified research program that would eventually span 149 sub-projects across 80 institutions, including universities, hospitals, prisons.
This isn't a long video. I just wanted to give you guys some context because I hate talking about subjects and not bringing like receipts, Let's keep watching.
And pharmaceutical companies. The official justification was urgent. Intelligence reports suggested that American prisoners in Korea were being subjected to communist brainwashing techniques that could turn loyal soldiers into enemy agents. MK Ultra, named for the ultra-classified nature of its activities, was designed to develop defensive countermeasures against Soviet psychological warfare. The program would explore drugs, hypnosis, sensory deprivation, and other techniques to understand how the mind could be controlled, manipulated, or completely restructured. The program was overseen by Dr. Sidney Gottlieb, a chemist who became known as the CIA's poisoner-in-chief. Under his direction, researchers explored every conceivable method of mental manipulation, from exotic drugs and electromagnetic fields to surgical procedures and psychological torture, all in the name of protecting American democracy from communist infiltration. According to official CIA documents, MK Ultra was terminated in 1973 after achieving its defensive research goals. The program had supposedly developed effective countermeasures against enemy brainwashing while maintaining strict ethical guidelines and volunteer-only participation. Most records were destroyed as a routine security measure. But when congressional investigators began probing MK Ultra in 1975, they discovered that the official story was a carefully constructed lie. Financial records revealed that the program had cost tens of millions of dollars and involved experiments that violated every principle of medical ethics and human rights. The most devastating discoveries emerged from Canada's Allen Memorial Institute, where Dr. Ewan Cameron conducted psychic driving experiments on unsuspecting patients. Funded by the CIA through front organizations, Cameron subjected psychiatric patients to weeks of drug-induced comas, hundreds of electroshock treatments, and endless loops of recorded messages designed to completely erase their personalities. Patient Linda McDonald entered Cameron's facility with mild postpartum depression. After months of treatment, she emerged with no memory of her identity, unable to recognize her children, and requiring retraining in basic functions like walking and eating. She was one of hundreds of victims who lost their entire sense of self to Cameron's experiments. The LSD experiments were equally horrific. CIA operatives dosed unwitting subjects in bars, restaurants, and brothels to study the drug's effects. Dr. Frank Olson, a CIA biochemist who had ethical concerns about the program, was given LSD without his knowledge and died after falling from a hotel window, a death the CIA claimed was suicide, but family members believe was murder. Documents that survived the 1973 destruction revealed experiments on prisoners, mental patients, and ethnic minorities who couldn't consent or resist. Subjects were given drugs that induced terror, paralysis, and psychotic episodes. Some experiments aimed to create programmed assassins who would kill on command and have no memory of their actions. The destruction of 90% of MK Ultra's records means that the full scope of the program may never be known. But the surviving evidence and victim testimonies suggest possibilities that extend far beyond defensive research. The assassination program theory. Some investigators believe MK Ultra's ultimate goal was creating programmed assassins, individuals who could be triggered to kill specific targets and have no memory of their actions. The program's interest in hypnosis, amnesia, and behavioral conditioning all support this theory. Some researchers point to unexplained aspects of high-profile assassinations in the 1960s as possible evidence of successful programming. The continuing operations theory, official termination of MK Ultra in 1973, may have been merely administrative, a way to distance the CIA from public scrutiny while continuing the research under different names. Subsequent programs like MK Search, MK Often, and others suggest that mind control research never really ended, just evolved and went deeper underground. The corporate connection theory. Many MK-Ultra contractors were pharmaceutical companies that went on to develop psychiatric medications used worldwide. Some researchers believe that knowledge gained through illegal human experimentation influenced the development of antidepressants, antipsychotics, and other drugs that alter brain chemistry on a massive scale. The technology transfer theory. The most disturbing possibility is that MK-Ultra techniques were perfected and transferred to other government agencies and foreign allies. Torture methods used by the US military and intelligence agencies in recent decades show striking similarities to MK-Ultra experiments: sensory deprivation, sleep disruption, sexual humiliation, and psychological manipulation. The scariest aspect of MK-Ultra may be how successful some experiments were. Survivors like Linda McDonald prove that human personality can be completely erased and reconstructed. If such techniques were perfected, they could represent the ultimate tool of authoritarian control. In 1995, President Bill Clinton formally apologized to MK-Ultra victims and their families, acknowledging that the US government had conducted illegal human experimentation on its own citizens. Monetary settlements were paid to some survivors, though many victims were never identified due to the destroyed records. Today, the CIA maintains that all mind control research ended with MK-Ultra's termination in 1973. But congressional oversight and investigative journalism have revealed continuing programs that push the boundaries of ethical research, from enhanced interrogation techniques to advanced psychological operations. The victims of MK-Ultra serve as a reminder of what happens when government agencies operate without oversight or accountability. Linda McDonald spent the rest of her life trying to rebuild a sense of self that CIA-funded doctors had deliberately destroyed. Dr. Olson's family fought for 50 years to learn the truth about his death. Perhaps most disturbing is how little we know about MK-Ultra's full scope. With 90% of the records destroyed, hundreds of victims may never be identified. Techniques that proved successful may still be classified and in use. The true legacy of America's mind control program remains hidden in destroyed files and traumatized memories. The technology for manipulating human consciousness has only advanced since the 1970s. Neuroscience, pharmaceuticals, and digital media provide new avenues for influencing thoughts and behavior. The ethical questions raised by MK-Ultra become more urgent with each technological breakthrough. Was MK-Ultra truly terminated, or did it evolve into more sophisticated forms of control? Did the destroyed records hide successful techniques that continue to be used? And in an age of mass surveillance and behavioral manipulation, how can we be sure similar programs aren't operating today? The mind control program that the CIA claimed never existed turned out to be real. The victims who were dismissed as delusional turned out to be telling the truth. The records that were destroyed contained evidence of crimes against humanity. If MK-Ultra could happen once, what's to prevent it from happening again? The only protection against government...
Okay, guys. Now we're going to go into the actual records, okay? Give me 1 second, because I'm at the share screen. We're going to go to the CIA website so you guys can see this for yourselves. All right, give me 1 second. Let me pull up the CIA website. is that? All right. They have something called the reading room. That is where you can look up these different documents. Hold on, waiting to make sure it pops up on my screen before I continue. Okay. So you just go to CIA.gov. All right. And you want to go to the reading room. It looks like this, okay? And this is where, thank you, Patsy. Hey, Sheila, this is where you can find anything you're looking for. Like, see, it's already pre-filled. Because I was over here searching stuff. So make it all one word and just search it, okay? And then these documents pull up. And again, this is from the CIA website. Let's click into one of the documents. And please don't think that they're no longer using these tactics or methods. They continue to do it to this day by polluting our air with LSD every time they decide to chemtrail us, which is usually on a daily basis, okay? Hold on. I'm trying to get the file to open so you all can see. These are official documents. On your instruction, I have investigated the destruction of agency records related to drugs and toxins. This investigation was conducted between 17 to 30 of September in 1975. I wasn't even born yet. And was limited to avoid interfering in any way with other ongoing investigations of this matter. So they were trying to destroy these records, baby. They didn't want nobody to get the records to see what they're using to poison people. See, and they're going through the different things that were destroyed. So, and Fat Daddy is snoring, y'all. Okay, let's go to another one. And then I'm going to switch into Jim Carrey because I don't think that's the real Jim Carrey. I think Jim Carrey has been cloned just like poor little Dave Chappelle. All right, let's pull up Project MK Ultra and see what that's about. And I need some tea. My voice is not on point. I can't really yell. I can't stress my throat because I feel like I'm about to completely lose my voice. Can we make this bigger? I want to see what this is. Y'all, I'm nosy. Oh, hold on. This, like I said, this is straight from the CIA website. These are official documents. I showed y'all how I got here. And so from now on, when people are hollering, oh, MK Ultra, all of that was a lie. It's a conspiracy theory. It's made up. No, it is not. It is very much documented. Okay. And you can see Project MK Ultra or MK Ultra was the code name for a covert CIA mind control and chemical interrogation research program. Now, think back to what I said about the chemtrails. They are pumping these chemicals into the air to currently try to control us. So these experiments, even though on paper said have been discontinued, I can guarantee it hasn't. Okay? I can guarantee it hasn't. Oh, and it has LSD, other drugs, hypnosis, and magic. Hold on. We can't click on that. This is CIA now. Oh, we might could just look at all these official documents. I need glasses, so I can't really read, but we're going to scroll through them together. Ooh. I'm glad I'm not on screen because I'm all up in the thing. I see something about a knockout pill. Is that what Bill Cosby got his stuff from? Huh? Is that where Bill Cosby got his stuff from? And it's crazy. They're still using LSD. It's okay. Hypnosis and magic. God, let me see if I can get it closer. Oh, another technique investigated was connecting a barbiturate IV into the arm. Wow. And amphetamines. Okay. MK Ultra documents indicate hypnosis was studied in the early 1950s. I want to get to the magic part because what is y'all doing with magic? Huh. Chop is loud. I'm going to have to pull these up when I get off and look at them closer. But I just wanted to show you the website and how to get to these things so you can look them up on your own if you choose to. Oh, my dog is snoring. Give me 1 second. Oh. Jesus. Okay, guys. Now, we're going to pivot into Jim Carrey. And I have something to play for y'all that will kind of help us go into segue into the next subject, okay? Enjoy.
He's been clown. Hey, he's been clown. Too much shit going on in the world. He's been clown. They cloning people. Hey, he's North Korea about to blow us off the map. He's been clown. Russia sneaking over here and shit. He's been clown. Too much shit going on in the world. He's been clown. They cloning people. He's been clown. North Korea about to blow us off the map. He's been clown. Black people still ain't equal. He's been clown. They having Klan rallies, neo-Nazis. Everywhere you look. He's been clown. But if you mention the word white people, they'll knock you off of Facebook. The world ain't equal no more. You can't go to the motherfucking military. They've been cloning people. Man, this shit getting scary. Hey, I turned the shit on CNN. North Korea got a missile. People leaking information. Somebody blow the whistle. I'm watching Anderson Cooper. And then I go to Don Lemon. North Korea got the shit over there. And Kim Jong-il over there tripping. See, North Korea got the shit. They say they ready to start shooting. We said we going to war with Russia. And we don't fuck with Vladimir Putin. So shit done happened in Virginia. The neo-Nazis came out. Last week we did a song about all the roaches in your house. And now we talking about cloning and why you shouldn't eat fish. Have you ever caught a tilapia, my nigga? No, think about this. They say eating a piece of tilapia is really worse than eating bacon. What? And you know all the purple onions in the United States come from right down outside of Macon. What? And this ain't shit that I made up. And this is real life facts. They hide all of the history, my nigga. Especially if it's black. See, George Washington Carver. See that?
Yeah, I think poor Jim Carrey has been cloned. He recently came out. They got him on video. Let me see. Now he's 64 years old. I get that. And everyone was like, well, his looks changed. He got older. He had a little plastic surgery, allegedly. But for your mannerisms to change, you don't use your left hand anymore. Now you're right-handed. A fat, puffy face. Your eye color is different. Like, how, Sway? What is going on? Why does Jim Carrey look different? Why? I put together a video for y'all to see so you can see it for yourselves. You're going to see him using the wrong hand. You're going to see the eye color change. He's over there using French and whatnot and whatever. It's a lot. Like Jim Carrey. Hold on. Let me look at that. Jim Carrey does not look the same. Let's look at this video so y'all can see for yourselves. Hold on. Where's my video? Okay, this is it.
Bonjour. Bonjour. How are you? Oh, it's a wonderful feeling. I really took on a pretty big challenge trying to do my speech in French. So, I wrote it and I researched it and I practiced it like crazy. But, it's then I watched everybody like talking 1,000 miles an hour up there receiving their awards. And I was like, I'm dead. And I made mistakes and I was like a novice, but I felt a lot of love and I felt a lot of appreciation that I tried. And what I said was true. And I really wanted to recognize my family. I wanted to recognize my dad. I mean, my dad was the type of person that if you met him for 5 minutes, you felt like you knew him for 50 years. I can't talk about him without getting emotional. Oh, loved it. It's so beautiful. And having Michelle, Camille Coton, that was also amazing.
It's he on LSD.
It was just a brilliant evening.
What?
Really brilliant evening. Oh my gosh. Benjamin Laverne was off the hook. I mean, I can't believe he committed to doing all that. I was really, is this about someone else? My favorite funny face is the one I'm wearing right now.
Thank you so much. I found more proof.
Did you hear what he said? My favorite funny face is the one I'm wearing right now. Are you trying to tell us something, Jim?
Jim Carrey now is not the real Jim Carrey. Look at this. This was a video taken just 6 days before his appearance. I want you to tell me what you see because this is crazy.
Yes, Sheila.
Everybody's been screaming about the fact that this was 6 days before we saw him. However, if you go to Stephen Colbert's TikTok account, which is where this was uploaded for Mardi Gras, it says February 17th they uploaded. That's correct. But I did a little digging, and on YouTube, this same video is there, and it's actually from 6 years ago. So this Jim Carrey we're seeing is actually a Jim Carrey from 2020. But I have some questions. Why did Colbert put this up just 6 days before this appearance? You could say, what was because of Mardi Gras? I get it, same time frame. But he could have put up anything else, and we put up Jim Carrey, and we know these people behind the scenes are all allegedly connected. So I wonder, did he allegedly have some inside information about what was going to happen with Jim so he could cash in on some of those views? Since his show is going down, he does need the money. I don't know. What do you guys think? These videos are all allegedly for entertainment purposes only. No facts. None of this is real.
I don't exist. I'm dead.
Thank you.
If
I ever shave my face again, you'll know.
Did you notice which hand Jim Carrey used to sign his autograph? There are 3 details that suggest he's not the real Jim Carrey. First, he used his right hand to sign autographs for fans, but it's well known that the real Jim Carrey is left-handed, and he himself has confirmed this in interviews. Whether writing or casually holding things in public, Jim Carrey always uses his left hand, as it's an ingrained habit. The impersonator might have learned the appearance, but overlooked this small detail. Secondly, his appearance is drastically different from Jim Carrey's. The real Jim Carrey has his signature neat, short hair with a relaxed facial structure that exudes energy, even without exaggerated expressions. This person, on the other hand, has messy long hair that doesn't suit him, a stiff, unnatural face, lacks his signature facial contours, and even appears abnormally puffy. There's no trace of Jim Carrey. Lastly, his pupil color is very different from Jim Carrey's. Jim's eyes are deep brown with a distinct clarity in any lighting condition, which is a natural, identifiable feature of his. This person's eyes, however, are blue, and under the strong stage lights, they even have an unnaturally translucent quality. This is one of the hardest traits for an impersonator to fake in a major giveaway. What do you think about this?
When was the last time you saw Jim Carrey? Why do I ask? Because Jim Carrey was at a recent appearance with his co-stars from the movie Grinch. And he had fans asking the question, has Hollywood claimed another celebrity? If you haven't seen the images, take a look at this. Who is that? Is that Jim Carrey? Is that the Jim Carrey that we all recognize from movies and TV shows? This is the Jim Carrey that we're all used to seeing. So the question needs to be asked, has Hollywood claimed another celebrity? Fans were quick to react to the way he looked on stage. Does he look the same to you? I understand that people can age and people can change, but a lot of these Hollywood celebrities just don't look the same at all. So once again, it begs the question, has Hollywood claimed another celebrity? This is a photo of Jim Carrey not too long ago. So who is this Jim Carrey? Let me know your thoughts on this in the comments. And as always, I'd love to hear from you.
Quick. I'm so late.
Thank you so much. Such a pleasure to see you. The Grinch is one of my favorite movies. Can I see you?
We're short for time.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
Jim Carrey responds to allegations that he's no longer Jim Carrey. This is interesting. The day after the Caesar Awards, where it was very clear, allegedly, he didn't look like himself, he is out in public, signing autographs, hanging out with the press. Take a look at this.
Let's rate Jim Carrey is real original Jim Carrey. Can you answer this, please, Mr. Jim Carrey? Every fake news is saying you are not Jim Carrey. That's true or not? Please, give answer. After Epstein files, you actually say something. That's pain or not? Are you true? You same man? Please answer. Please answer. Are you doing Jim Carrey?
Jim Carrey tends to not do a lot of autographs, and yet he's been doing tons and tons of them since he's had this award show. Jim Carrey doesn't super go out in public and interact with the media. And sometimes will randomly pop up, and many times in the past when he did, he would speak truth to power. He would actually be laughing at something like this or even get in on the joke with you. But instead...
And I want to pause it here. If y'all want to go back into my archives, and there's a video I did called "Where is the Real Dave Chappelle?" So I wish I could pull it up. Anyway, where's the real Dave Chappelle? Now, one thing that Dave and Jim had alike is they would get on these interviews, these late shows, and even the afternoon shows, and start spilling tea. Dave Chappelle was known for that. He came out and was talking about the government and MK Ultra. So did Jim Carrey. Is that the reason why he's no longer Jim Carrey? And he's got to be a completely different person. They did a horrible clone with this one. This clone just ain't hitting on nothing. Mm-mm.
He is wildly silent in signing autographs he typically doesn't do. These videos are all allegedly for entertainment purposes only. No facts. None of this is real.
So we're just going to look over the fact that Jim Carrey does not look like Jim Carrey anymore. Now, Jim Carrey was on my list of people that I thought will never cross over to the bad side. But what happened to Jim Carrey? Because that face right there does not look like Jim Carrey's face.
My favorite funny face is the one I'm wearing right now.
I really need to ask, who is that right there? Now, we all know that Jim Carrey has always been on the good side of things. Hollywood blackballed Jim Carrey because he spoke out against the elites. So in my book, Jim Carrey will always be one of them ones. But that face right there is not the same face that we seen on Jim Carrey. This is the same Jim Carrey that was putting people on game about the Illuminati before people started talking about the Illuminati. I have been watching Jim Carrey since the 90s in living color. I'm not trying to shit on Jim Carrey right now, but I need you to tell me if that looks like Jim Carrey. I need you to think about all of the celebrities that look different, act different. I need you to think about the fact that Jim Carrey's face was one of the things that played a big part in boosting his brand and getting him to where he was at. Facial expressions. His face doesn't look like it can make facial expressions. Again, it's just me.
Nobody realized that the person accepting the award at the 51st César Awards was actually Jim Carrey's body double. First, Jim Carrey's eyes have always been a deep brown, especially during the Mask and the Truman Show era. Those eyes carried a signature brown glow, lively and full of vitality. However, the person receiving the award had blue eyes, appearing almost unnaturally transparent under the bright stage lights. Second, anyone familiar with Jim Carrey knows that in recent years, he has gradually distanced himself from mainstream Hollywood social events and has publicly expressed his detachment from fame and celebrity culture. In contrast, the award recipient was very outgoing.
You know, when I noticed Jim Carrey disappearing and no longer wanting to be out amongst people, was when that woman that he used to date, I think they were on a break at the time, but she passed away. I think it was an intentional unaliving. I don't know if y'all remember that. But it seems like ever since then, ever since then, Jim Carrey has not been the same. And I feel like they got to him because he was one of those people that would come out and tell people the truth about what's going on. He always did that. My very last clip, you'll see it for yourself.
On stage, interacting frequently with the media and using exaggerated gestures, completely inconsistent with Jim Carrey's low-key personality. Finally, his classic movements and expressions seemed deliberately stiff. At the ceremony, he occasionally made familiar funny faces and exaggerated gestures, but these seemed like intentional imitations of Jim Carrey remembered from memory, lacking natural humor. Both the gestures facial expressions carried a trace of mechanical precision, like a trained stand-in performing Jim Carrey. Do you think the person accepting the award at the César Awards was really Jim Carrey?
Right? Yeah. What is it? Come on, Jimmy. Seriously, the time is up. People are hip to this kind of stuff. I'm here tonight to blow the lid off it, to be the whistleblower. I'm sick and tired of the secrets and the lies. It is the secret symbol of the Illuminati, and you're a part of it, and it is the all-mocking tongue.
I want to say this. I saw in another report about this that the laughter you hear in the background was inserted. So it sounds like they're thinking it's a joke. When I was up in New York visiting, right, we went to Regis and it was Regis and Kathy Lee, or was it Kelly by then? I don't know. It was Regis and somebody. I can't remember if Kelly was there or Kathy Lee. And they will give certain instructions for you to laugh, to clap, to say, oh, they actually do a whole rehearsal before they go on air. So yeah, there wasn't laughter. They said that it was actually quite quiet, an uneasy quietness, and they had to insert the laughing, sort of like how we have soundboards today, you know?
It's just a symbol of the all-mocking tongue. And I'm sick of it. I want everybody to be in on the joke, man. You know what I mean? But for years now, talk show hosts, people on television, people in sitcoms have been hired by the government to throw you off the track, to distract you, to make you laugh and stuff like that, make you happy and docile so you don't know what's really going on. You know, they get out there in the woods in a circle naked and they decide these things and, you know, and look at them trying to this is hilarious.
They like to hide things in plain sight. It's always been that way. But I do not believe that is Jim Carrey. That person don't even look like Jim Carrey. Don't have the same gestures. How do you go from being left-handed to just being right-handed? How do you go from being brown-eyed to blue-eyed? Like, it just does not make sense. Now, I feel like because of the type of conversation I'm having today, YouTube is fighting with me, and I expected that to happen. Also, I'm not gonna lie, I feel a little off today. My spirit isn't where I want it to be. My energy is missing, and I think it's because I made a few mistakes in the beginning. So this is probably gonna have to go on members. Yeah. I might come back later on today because so much has been happening with the war in Iran and the pictures, y'all. The videos I've seen, it's just sad. It's sad what's happening. But I want to thank those that hung out with me today through all of my blunders and mistakes, because I made many. I'm just going to throw this away as a test stream, okay? So I'm going to get out of here, and I will see y'all later this evening with some Nancy Guthrie news and political. Yeah, we're going to go political and Nancy Guthrie after I drink some tea. Y'all have a good evening.
No need to see viral stories and crime stories so bleak, leaving you hooked for weeks, exposing liars and racists too. Crimes and scandals all exposed to you. My creativity paints the view, pull you in like the morning dew. My voice will ring through every story, I claim the frame. Truth and fire is my name. Exposing liars and racists too. Crimes and scandals I'll expose to you. My creativity paints the view. Pull you in like the morning dew. My voice will ring through your soul tonight, forever echo in your mind's sight. Like and share if you feel the light. Subscribe and hit the bell so right.